Welcome to Fearlessly Made You. I am your host, Kristie Tobias. Joining me today are guests just striving to dominate in their personal and professional lives while answering the question, what does it mean to be fearlessly made? Welcome back to Fearlessly Made You. I am so excited for today's guest. But before we get into that, I want to remind you guys of the purpose of Fearlessly Made You. As a reminder, Fearlessly Made You is a spinoff of the book Fearlessly Made You. And it's about my journey with post-traumatic stress disorder and really the conversations around trauma and the uncomfortable things that happen in life, but building out stories, connecting to people, and building that relatability so that we're not trying to do this journey on our own. We're living that fearless existence. Fearless is not being without fear, but not allowing that fear to own you. And that's what I love about Fearlessly Made You. I also love that I get to bring people on Fearlessly Made You who bring me so much life and joy, but also the partnerships that we have. As you guys always know, and if you're watching on the YouTube, you know Dillard is a wonderful partner who has styled me as always, but they're also a wonderful partner in the community and a wonderful partner on this journey. We've had the privilege of having multiple people from Dillard's come on to this story, or come on to Fearlessly Made You and share their story. And so I always want to make sure that we honor that relationship. Speaking of relationships, I cannot wait for you guys to meet our next guest, Trey. Trey and I are little travel partners. Like, we go in and out. Before, it was the ATL airport before I was living there. But the cool thing that I love about Trey, and he does not know this, I actually love following him on social media. There's always something exciting and fun, but he is the most authentic, at least for my opinion, authentic human I have the privilege of knowing, and also the proclaimed brunch king. So I can't wait for you guys to get to know my fabulous guest, Trey. Trey, welcome to Fearlessly Made You.
Thanks for having me. And let me just start by saying that was the best compliment ever, because I literally pride myself on being that authentic version of myself and trying to be as relatable as possible. So thank you.
And
I'm glad to be here.
Accomplishing it for sure.
Thank
Truly,
you so
are.
much.
And it is honestly why I reached out to you, because to be on Fearlessly Made You, because it really personifies what I want our Fearlessly Made You crew to see. What you guys see every time I bring on guests that I admire is we all have a journey, and we have this responsibility to live it authentically. And you do that with grace, swag, and some style.
Just a little style.
A little style. You guys see this outfit. But enough about me. I want to talk about you, Trey. One of the things that I love about these journeys is, and we were talking about this, the cool thing is I get to see people all the time, right? And I have people that I love, but very rarely do we ever just sit down and talk and just dish about life and how we've gotten to where we are. And so I'm excited to learn a little bit more. I'm excited for the Fearlessly Made You crew to learn a little more. So why don't you take us to who you are, how you've gotten to this space in your life? Small question. What truly makes Trey this fabulous version of himself that he is?
Right. So it literally started back, I left Pensacola, quite some time ago after I graduated from Pensacola Junior College here. And I always wanted that college experience, that collegiate experience. And, I was up against Florida State and FAMU, which a lot of people don't know. FAMU is an HBCU in Tallahassee. And, I said, let's take a chance and go to an HBCU. I've always went to predominantly white schools and things of that nature, and I wanted to actually go to a historically black college. So I said, let's do it. So actually going there was one of the major turning points in my life.
Okay.
I learned so much about myself. I learned so much about my own culture. Yeah. I received a great education. And coming out of that, is when I, kind of leveraged the relationships I've had, or that I've met with people there, or that I've made with people there. And capitalizing on those relationships, that kind of helped me to realize what was most important to me, right? Yeah. So, leveraging those relationships and then tapping into what my skills were from college. So I ended up becoming, kind of tied to photography and media and all of that. So as a lot of people know me as the Brunch King now, and my social media following and influence and things of that nature, that's actually where that originated from.
Got you.
So having that journalism background, the media background, it kind of propelled me into what I'm doing now. But, it's a passion as well. So I enjoy doing that. But yes, right now I'm currently a social media influencer. I am currently an ambassador for the city of Pensacola.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. I was going to do a snap, 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 but I was like, hold up. Yes, you are, because that was going to be an aggressive snap. But yes, you are. Yes.
Yeah, I was going to say that, I wear so many different hats,
You
and that's a loaded question. It's very tough for me to answer that. But currently, like I said, I'm an ambassador, and I landed that opportunity from my social media.
Yes.
And also from that, I've also managed, social media accounts. And of course, I've worked with major brands like Wendy's and, Panera Bread and Smoothie King. So media is my thing, and people are my heart. So
I love that. Well, and I love that you're bringing so much passion into what you do. And so I almost want to kind of take us back, like tiny Trey, little Trey in the manger. No, little baby Trey. So take us all the way back, because you have this passion, you have this ability, like you said, people are what you do, and you do it so well. How did you get to being able to do that? Like, is this something that even as a kid, like, was ingrained in you? Or, I know for me, and a lot of y'all know this, I was super introverted and super shy as a kid. I didn't speak. Like, people, like, to this day in my family are like, oh, she talks now. That's nice of her. But in my family, I'm more of the introvert, although my siblings laugh at that. They're like, yeah, right, okay. But I was very much the introvert. So being able to have my voice not feel like it's silenced is a lot of why I do what I do now. So I'm curious about kind of how you got into this space, like, as a kid.
So that's very tough. I'll get a little vulnerable here.
Please.
So as a child, I grew up in a very strict household. Grew up with a lot of challenges, with, trying to be who I am or growing into who I am. But I was always that extroverted child. So I've always been extroverted my entire life. I always wanted to talk to everybody and meet everybody and perform and dance and sing and do all of that. But, sometimes throughout my childhood, I felt like that was kind of corralled a lot of times to where I couldn't, be in that space, due to many different reasons.
Yeah.
But being able to break out of that as I got older and being able to, like I said, get out of Pensacola to experience something different and go to an HBCU. That's why that was the turning point in my life, because I'm so used to this type of, life here in Pensacola. As you know, Pensacola is very small.
Yeah.
Pensacola is very stuck in their ways sometimes. And it really was my desire to go and find something different and to really take that time away to find out who I am. And FAMU allowed me to be that person and to grow into who I am now. So
I love that. And we share that similarity in the HBCU experience. So I went to undergrad at a predominantly white school and then Wake Forest University, which I loved my experience. I, had a great experience, but had a lot of moments that, reflecting back, I had a lot of tough moments, period.
Absolutely.
And not necessarily because of Wake, but with everything around culturally. So for my master's, I went to an HBCU, which is a little different experience than for sure being an undergrad, but we got to experience it because I went to Winston-Salem State for my master's, but Winston-Salem State and Wake Forest actually partnered together during my undergrad to help build Black presence at Wake. Dr. Barbie Oakes, who is no longer, she's with us, but she's no longer at Wake, was our... she led all of our cultural affairs specifically for our Black students, and really positioned that experience on campus for us. And it was huge. And I remember exactly like you were saying, it was different for me to start to think about what my culture is and what it means to be a Black American in the South, and what it means to open ourselves up to that. Because depending on how you've grown up, depending on what people tell you. And, I know there's a lot of people listening that are part of the Black American community that are like, yep, that's exactly it.
Exactly.
You're told to act a certain way or to be a certain way, to be, seen as a respectful person in society. Yeah. And that gets squashed a little bit.
It does.
And you have to be able to say, no, I am Black and I am American and I am absolutely allowed to be Black in America.
And be confident.
Exactly. I love that you've had that experience, and I love that it's given you the chance to kind of open up. So when you, and I want to dive into this more because
Yeah,
I'm sure there are other people who have had this experience or would love to know more about it. So as you kind of opened yourself up, or starting to find yourself at FAMU, talk to us a little bit about what that felt like. Because I know for me, there was a lot of uncomfortable moments of me being like, whoo, my bad. I did not realize. Like, I have my own biases that I didn't even think about. But how was that for you?
Yeah, so it was a whirlwind of different feelings and emotions, to be completely honest. So when I started, of course, I came in as a junior, and I'm trying to find my way and, get used to, at that time, real school versus, junior college.
Yeah.
So, which I considered to be real school at the time.
Yeah.
But, I went in and, like I said, people are my heart. So I wanted to find a way to feel welcome and a way to make this feel like home. I'm going somewhere. I have no friends. I don't know anyone there. So I actually joined a modeling organization.
My shocked face, everyone. This is my shocked face. No shock there at all. Of course you did.
Yes.
I want to be surprised by things you tell me, and I just am not.
Yes. So yeah, you already know. Like I joined that organization. It's an incorporated organization, and I found family within that. So at that moment, I was able to loosen up. They were able to show me different things, and at that moment is when the change became a little bit more comfortable. Because I had someone and some of those people were going through the change with me. So after doing that, I, got my confidence, and people are starting to see me on stage and model and such. So I wanted to step out there. I wanted to run for Mr. FAMU. So I ran for Mr. FAMU.
Sir. More things I will tell you what other things you have in common. But yes, okay. You ran for Mr. FAMU.
So I ran for Mr. FAMU.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I did not win, but I was
disrespectful.
Disrespectful.
Who were the judges?
I'm still hurt by that.
I'm hurt by it for you.
By that.
We need to have a conversation. Y'all listening? If you are one of the judges for me, we're coming for you.
Right. So yeah, I did that, and the more I got involved and the more comfortable I felt, the more confidence I was able to build up, which is what I ended up bringing back home when I moved back. So that's where the Brunch King and the person you see now was actually built and developed at FAMU.
I love it. And I think too, so hearing that, it also gives me the question of, I'm thinking about, the Fearlessly Made You career people who are saying, that's such a journey. How long did it take for you to start to build that confidence?
Wow. It's honestly, to be completely honest, it's an ongoing thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I feel as if, when I move into a new space, it's like a restart. So for example, with my new job, I just, stepped into, it's getting adjusted. I walked into this role excited, but, I have to realize, hey, I'm not that confident because, I want to understand my surroundings. I want to understand the procedures and processes and things of that nature. So it is a lifelong journey. The confidence, I think, is a lifelong journey, and it's really relative to what situation you're walking into. Yeah.
There's, and I can't remember, of course, right now at the top of my head who created it, but it's the kind of phases of competency and change. Like there's that unconsciously unskilled space where you don't know what you know, you don't know what you don't know. And so it's this like fear. We get emotional during those spaces. And it's interesting because I think it wraps around a lot of what you said, that unconsciously unskilled space of being Black at a Black school when that has not been your culture for so long. The unconsciously unskilled space of being in a new position, that space of no longer being, in that strict family background and being able to actually say, oh, I can step out and I can let who I am be who I am. I think it's beautiful. It brings me, I've been telling the Fearlessly Made You crew, they're getting tired of hearing this, I'm sure. I'm getting more, allowing myself to be emotional, y'all. Let me be emotional. But it does, it brings this emotion of happiness for you. Because I'm thinking about that journey that you were on to get to be you, and it emanates in your face. It emanates in what you say and talk about. So I want to go into the people side of you and that passion. So let's talk more about that. What does that look like for you? What does that mean for you? How do you, Pensacola is... there's always someone or something to connect to. So I want to dive into that for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So, as I mentioned, I became an ambassador for the city, and I get to meet people all the time at different events we attend and, things of that nature. I meet people from being out at brunch all the time, and, I guess it's really natural for me. So as you know, I do have a brunch group. I'm not sure if you're aware.
Oh, yes. Yes, I am.
And remember, I stated back at FAMU, I wanted to find that home, the people. So a few years ago, maybe 2018, I, would be going to brunch like maybe once every couple of weeks, and I would invite a few friends, and it turned into every weekend, or and more people would come. And one of my friends sat me down one day, and they said, Trey, you have a gift and you have a talent. I said, well, what's that? They said, you have a gift of bringing people together and connecting people. And you don't even realize it. And I was like, what do you mean? They're like, look at this. How many people can who can just make one single phone call or send out a text message to get 20 people at brunch at any given time? One time. So she told me that. I was like, wow. She was like, you really need to think about how you can capitalize on that, because I feel like that's your true purpose.
Yes.
So I sat back and I thought, I was like, why don't we create a brunch group? The Brunchians.
I love it. I follow the Brunchians. I do. I'm not even going to lie. Like, I love the exploits. There's always something new going on, but talk more about it. I want you, talk about
it. So with the Brunchians, we go around, we create content for social media. We try new restaurants. We do reviews. We make connections in the community, in the restaurant industry. But outside of that, not only do we have fun and we have our mimosas.
As you should. If you have not known, and I know we are both on this journey of like, we're not currently drinking anything alcohol-based, but, cheers to our waters. They're delicious, delicious water. Y'all all know, and if you don't know, you know now, brunch is my favorite meal, primarily because of mimosas.
Same.
They're delicious. It's like a little breakfast drink. That you just have all day.
Yes. It's always a good time. It's fellowship, and you feel that love. And again, I found that family in that.
Yes.
And I wanted to to figure out, how do I balance this out to make this brunch group, outside of it being purposeful for me?
Yes.
How do I impact others? So what we did was we actually started volunteering in the community.
Love it.
So Ronald McDonald House, Boys and Girls Club. So we would go around and volunteer our time, in different capacities and spaces, and we would go and support the community in the best ways we can. So not only do we come together, fellowship, and, share our experiences, but we impact the community at the same time.
Which is powerful. There's such power in that, because I think sometimes we think that one purpose has to be one purpose, and it is cascading. And it really is truly your calling to have that cascaded effect, that cascaded impact. Yeah. And I love that you share that with us, but I love that you're sharing that with the community. So as you think about how you're continuing to grow, I always think about, the conversation around Fearlessly Made You, and not allowing fear to own you. Every step you take is moving you even more into your purpose, which is a little terrifying.
It is.
Especially coming from, where you were to where you are now. Talk to me a little bit about what that journey looks like for you as you are living that fearless existence, not letting that fear own you.
So before we move into that, if you don't mind.
Yes.
I did want to say that I feel like, everything about your personality, how you carry yourself, how professional you are, and everything you stand for, you are exactly what we would love in our organization, in our brunch group. So I did bring something for you.
Oh, I'm ready.
Are you sure?
Is it a man?
Not quite.
Okay.
It's close. But
oh my gosh,
you are now an honorary Brunchian.
Oh,
you have a champagne glass and pins.
I put my water in this. This is, y'all, if you cannot see, it is the cutest, first of all, you're the first person to bring me a gift as a guest. I believe so. I think maybe one other, but I think you're the first person to bring a gift. But also, I love being, because I follow the Brunchies and I love this.
So that is for you, your own personal glass.
Thank you. I appreciate you so much. I'm going to treasure this and put this right here, because it's going to be used almost immediately. Thank you so much for that. And I appreciate those kind words, because it's, before this, we always talk and kind of walk through, like, what is Fearlessly Made You? And we were talking about the conversation of the book and bringing that forward. And this is exactly why, is because I want people to have that space to talk about their journeys, to be relatable, to help other people talk about their journeys. And this means more than I can probably say in words, because walking into your purpose, right? And I feel like this is exemplifying walking into your purpose. So thank you for that. And I appreciate that.
You're welcome. So to pick back up where we were speaking, so we're talking about going forward. Going forward, and I kind of wanted to speak a little bit about to what that fearlessly made you means to me a little
Yes,
bit?
please.
Is that okay?
Absolutely. It is
Yeah,
encouraged.
because I truly feel like being fearlessly made is being able to recognize what your strengths are, your highlights. Not only that, your opportunities. Being
Yes.
able to own that, embrace it. But on the flip side of that, knowing that there is a journey ahead of you, right?
Yes.
Everyone's not going to appreciate your skills, your talents, and things of that nature. It's all about embracing that side and the challenges, and confidently walking in that, and not being afraid to face those challenges
Yep.
and make that journey. So that's literally what I live by every day. And after going through those challenges before and growing and learning a lot about myself, I truly live by that going forward. I say, hey, I am who I am.
Yes.
I was put on this earth for a purpose and for a
Yes.
reason, and I'm going to do everything I can to live that out, whether this person likes it or whether they don't. At the end of the day, my heart is pure, and I want to be a good person and make an impact on the next person.
I love, my goodness, so much value in what you just said. I like, especially you highlighting my heart is pure, because there's something to be said about intention. And there's the intention of knowing what you are doing is wanting to make a difference. And it's
Right.
not just the want, you're taking action to make a difference,
Right.
which I think is so valuable. And for those of you that are listening, as you're thinking about, but what does that mean for me? I would love for you to share, how do you help guide or encourage others who are like, well, I want to make a difference. I want to be more intentional in what that looks like. What are your guiding words to them?
Honestly, the words, I lead by example, and I just share my experiences with everyone, sharing the challenges I went through, how I navigated those challenges. And again, I try to be as relatable as possible and genuine as possible. So maybe I can, again, impact that person, or they can learn a lot from me,
Yeah.
or what I've gone through, or they can observe what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
Because again, I feel as if, everybody has their own journey, everybody is in a different space. And just being able to show someone how to be confident in that space, and maybe giving them the tips that you learned along the way would help them kind of navigate and avoid those same things. So I think it's just living in it and sharing what you've learned and your experiences in it, and just keeping them uplifted. So.
I love that. Well, and I think that's the part too, is like, I think sometimes the experiences that we have can be uncomfortable,
Right.
and it's easy to shy away from them or to keep them at bay, but now you're missing the opportunity to help someone else along
Right.
the journey. So I love that that is what you have kind of ingrained in the way that you live your life. So I always ask too, you have a lot going on.
I do.
Yeah.
A lot is an understatement.
It's, there's a few things in the fire. What does balance look like for you? And I'm always careful about, I don't necessarily have the conversation on work-life balance, because that's not a thing. It really is,
Right.
what is balance in your life? So what are the things that bring balance to you, or what are the things you're working on for balance?
Okay, so I'm glad you said working on, because again, that's also, I feel, is an ongoing challenge for me, or for quite a few people, is being able to maintain that balance as your
Yes.
life shifts and changes.
Yes.
And for me, I've battled with that, to be completely transparent and
That's
honest.
fair.
And my friends tell me that all the time. They say, Trey, you need to make time for yourself.
Yeah.
You're always giving to others, giving your time, you're working out, which, again, working out is, a thing for me, but sometimes it goes on the back burner.
Yeah.
Because I feel my obligation to others is the priority, when I should make myself the priority as well.
Yeah.
But
you're speaking a language I
Yeah.
understand, for sure. I was literally just having this conversation, and my mom and I were having this conversation, because there's everything else goes in front of you, but then who's taking care of you?
Absolutely.
And you've got to be able to do that. And I think that's a really good thing for us to think through and kind of talk about,
Right.
is how are you? Because I know I continue to struggle with take care of you.
Right.
What are some of the things that you find yourself maybe shifting so you're prioritizing you?
So honestly, I've found my me time in traveling.
I love that. Okay, tell me more.
Okay, so what I'll do is, if I feel myself, kind of getting caught up in the whirlwind, and going day to day, and when it gets to the point where I'm just like, what day is it? What time is it? I'm living off of this calendar. At that moment, I know I need a break, and my breaks are getting out of the city, going out of town, going to see friends I haven't seen in a long time. Again, my people are my heart.
Yes.
So that kind of recharges me, and that kind of recenters me and refocuses me. Outside of that, here locally, if I can't, get out of town or travel and things of that nature, I would just, sometimes I have to disconnect.
Yeah. Yeah. What
It's
does the
tough.
disconnect look like? Because I think the social media, getting away from all of that, it's hard.
Believe it or not, I
Okay.
will take a break off of social media for a little while.
Okay.
Every now and then, but I
Okay.
do it in a way that it's not as obvious. I try
Yeah.
to strategically do that. But, sometimes I just have to disconnect, whether that is taking 2 days to just do absolutely nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And literally, Kristie, here recently, and you could probably still hear it a little in my voice, but I was so sick maybe a week or two ago, and I feel it's because I wasn't sleeping.
Yep.
I wasn't, taking care of myself. I wasn't eating healthy.
Yes.
Things of that nature. So it's being able to realize that and say, okay, it's time to stop and take a break.
Yes.
So what did I do last weekend? I completely
I
disconnected.
love it.
I slept. I ate, healthy. I worked out, and it kind of put me back on track, and it kind of reset my body. So outside of traveling, I say just disconnect.
Yeah.
Your body deserves it. You deserve it, especially your mental health. So.
And I feel like that's a really good lesson learned too for all of us is, we're all imperfect humans. So there are things that
Right.
we're trying to figure out. And I think that's one of the things, especially now, that I find a lot of us are having to refigure out, like, what does it mean for me to find that space to step away? Because we're bombarded. Everything is surrounding us. Not by any means, it's not a negative thing, but social media is something that, like, is part of our lives now.
Right.
And it needs to be, but there's also, it's one of the hardest things to kind of step away
Yes.
from. So I also think about for you, there's, with so much happening, with so much going on, innovation, creativity, what's something else that you're thinking forward to? Like, are there some things that are kind of coming up that you want to share with our Fearlessly Made You crew?
Well, not really. Well, I'm going through a rebrand right now.
Okay.
So, I'm working on building the foundation for a new brand for myself, a personal brand, and also to launching a new entertainment group for the city of Pensacola.
I think I saw a little snippet of that in the social media.
Just a little bit.
I maybe stalked just a tiny bit.
So yes, I am looking to pretty much rebrand myself and really hone in on what I want to focus my social media on. But on the flip side of that, out in the community, I wanted to create an event space for minorities and people of color. Because right now there is definitely a need for that, in the city. And I want to be able to provide a way for us to come together, fellowship, have a good time, network, things of that nature. And of course, it has to be centered around brunch.
Yes.
So-
I feel like I will need to come back for this.
Please do.
I mean, that's just a yes.
You get VIP automatically.
You said VIP. I will be back.
We will roll out the red carpet for you, Kristie.
Give me the date. I have my outfit.
Yes, no, February 19th is when we're doing the
Done
event.
and done.
Yeah.
I will be here. Not even a question. So, as you're talking about the space for, Black people in our community, Pensacola, there's definitely some opportunity there.
Absolutely.
Have you run into, some barriers, some things that you're like, this is something that I think we need to continue to think about and bring forward. And I talk about these things not in a way to cast shame or blame, but just in a way for us to grow. And we can't grow
Right.
unless we talk about some of those things.
Right, and a lot of times for us to feel at home, we have to have that representation. And to be completely honest, the scene in Pensacola, like you said, there are some opportunities there. We may have an event here or there, but it's not, the longevity isn't there.
Yeah.
It's it'll go for a few months and then it'll die down. I'm really trying to build something that will last and, withstand the test of time, to go on and maybe hand that off to someone else later on so it could be a continuous thing. But yes, I can definitely say, I go out and, me, I'm a chameleon. I can go anywhere.
You can. You absolutely
I can go anywhere, honestly. But yeah, it's just wanting to be able to see that representation, or to see people that look like me enjoying themselves and having a great time in a safe and productive space.
I love that. Oh, that brings me so much joy. And I think there's the value, the power. I mean, there's just, when we see each other and when we can say, that's me, that's us, I think there's such power in that. And for those of you that are listening that are not Black, there's power in you being able to say, I see Black representation, because we don't get to see that. And especially, in the South, it's a lot harder.
Absolutely.
In areas that are, similar to Pensacola, it is very hard. And so it's not an ostracizing, it's not a exclusivity. It's actually the opposite. It's including, because we don't see ourselves included. So I love that. I already have it in my calendar. I'm gonna put it on my calendar. I'm gonna bring my. Can I bring this with me?
Oh, you better bring it.
I will make sure.
I'm gonna hold you to it now.
Yeah. Oh, when I put it on my calendar, that's my vacation. We were talking about balance, so it's
Right.
funny that you say that. Travel for me is becoming my balance again. I did not like travel coming back out of COVID. Like I did not like it. I used to love it, and then it just was weird,
Yeah,
right?
it did get really weird.
Travel got really weird, and now I'm like refocusing this year on seeing my friends and visiting. So I will make a point to be down here for sure. So as we kind of close out our time, I always love to give you the space to share a last nugget of wisdom with our Fearlessly Made You crew, or something that's powerful or valuable for you, especially with your focus on people. I'm excited about the words that you share because I think they're going to really touch our Fearlessly Made You crew. So what's that last nugget of wisdom you want our Fearlessly Made You crew to hear?
Honestly, I live by the quote, dream as if you'll live forever. And I live my life that way, and I give that same advice to others because there is no limit to what you can do, who you can be, and what impact you can make. Be yourself, own that, walk in that space, and kick down those walls. And let people know, hey, I'm here to be myself. I'm here to do a job. I'm here to make an impact. And, I'm not going to let anything stand in my way.
Yes, kicking down the walls. I love to kick things down, especially walls. Trey, you are truly, I knew this was going to be a beautiful conversation. I appreciate your vulnerability, your authenticity. And as always, thank you so much for tuning in. Please make sure you stay tuned to the next episode of Fearlessly Made You.